2026 isn't waiting for you to be ready. It's waiting for you to be brave enough to stop repeating the same year in a different calendar. If you don't change what you tolerate, 2026 will look exactly like every year you swore would be different. You are not stuck. You are trained. Most people believe their life looks the way it does because of who they are. They say things like, "This is just how I am. I have always been like this. I am bad at discipline. I cannot change. I do not have the right personality for success." But what you call your personality is often nothing more than repeated behavior that your brain learned in order to survive, fit in, or avoid pain. You were trained by your environment. You were trained by what was rewarded and what was punished. You were trained by what you watched growing up. You were trained by what people expected from you. You were trained by disappointment, rejection, pressure, and fear. Over time, your brain built shortcuts. It learned how to react quickly. It learned how to protect you. It learned how to stay small when being visible felt unsafe. It learned how to procrastinate when failure felt too risky. It learned how to settle when trying felt exhausting. That training worked for the season you were in. It helped you cope. It helped you survive. It helped you get through something. But survival strategies are not the same as growth strategies. What once protected you can quietly become the very thing that keeps you from building the life you actually want. Here is the most important part. If something was learned, it can be relearned. Your brain is not fixed. Your patterns are not permanent. Your limits are not hardwired into you. They are rehearsed. And anything you rehearse long enough becomes automatic. This is why change feels so uncomfortable at first. You are not failing. You are interrupting years of conditioning. You are asking your nervous system to stop choosing what is familiar and start choosing what is aligned. That takes practice. It takes repetition. It takes patience with yourself. Stop calling your coping mechanisms your character. Stop calling your fear your intuition. Stop calling your exhaustion your identity. You are not lazy. You are trained to avoid discomfort. You are not inconsistent. You are trained to quit when the outcome is uncertain. You are not broken. You are running old programs that no longer match the future you are trying to create. 2026 is not about becoming someone new. It is about unlearning what no longer serves you and training yourself for the life you actually want. New habits, new standards, new responses, new ways of thinking when things get hard. The version of you who succeeds is not more special than you. They are simply practicing different behaviors consistently until their brain catches up. You are not behind. You are just standing at the edge of a new training cycle. And the moment you decide to train differently is the moment your future starts to look different too. The real enemy is not failure. It is familiarity. Most people are not afraid of failing. They are afraid of disrupting the life they already know how to survive. They are afraid of changing the rules of a world they have learned how to navigate. Familiar pain feels safer than unfamiliar possibility. At least with what you already know, you understand the consequences. You know how the disappointment feels. You know how to recover. You know how to explain it to yourself. That is why so many people stay in situations they complain about every day. The job that drains them. The relationship that no longer fits. The habits that quietly sabotage their health, focus, and confidence. Not because they believe it is the best they deserve, but because it is predictable. There is a strange comfort in knowing exactly how your life will hurt. Failure, on the other hand, carries uncertainty. If you try and fail, you have to face a version of yourself you cannot control. You have to sit with embarrassment, self-doubt, and the fear that maybe you were wrong about what you were capable of. So instead of risking failure, people choose familiarity. They choose routines that feel safe even when they feel empty. They choose excuses that feel logical even when they feel heavy. Familiarity is dangerous because it disguises itself as stability. It tells you that staying where you are is responsible. It tells you that waiting is wise. It tells you that now is not the right time. It sounds mature. It sounds realistic. It sounds protective. But underneath, it is often just fear of losing the identity you built around what you already know how to do. When you have lived a certain way for a long time, your mind starts to confuse consistency with correctness. You assume that because something has lasted, it must be right. But longevity does not equal alignment. Time does not validate a choice. It only shows how long you have been willing to live with it. The truth is, failure can teach you. Familiarity rarely does. Familiarity repeats. It loops. It reinforces the same patterns, the same stories, the same limits. It keeps you rehearsing a life you already understand instead of training for a life you actually want. Growth almost always feels wrong before it feels right. Not because it is dangerous, but because it is unfamiliar. Your brain has no evidence yet, no history to rely on, no script to follow. That discomfort is not a warning sign. It is a transition signal. If you want 2026 to be different, you will have to stop using comfort as your compass. You will have to stop asking what feels safest and start asking what moves you forward. The moment you choose unfamiliar effort over familiar frustration, you break the cycle. Not because you suddenly become fearless, but because you finally stop letting what you know trap what you could become. Your future does not need motivation. It needs structure. Motivation is emotional. It rises when you feel inspired and disappears the moment life becomes inconvenient. That is why so many people wait for the right mood to start changing, and then quietly wonder why nothing ever sticks. Feelings are not a reliable foundation for discipline. They change too quickly. Your goals deserve something more stable than how you happen to feel on a random day. Structure is what carries you when motivation drops. Structure is what removes decision fatigue. Structure is what protects your progress from your own excuses. When you design your days instead of drifting through them, you stop negotiating with yourself every time something feels hard. Most people fail not because they lack ambition, but because they rely on willpower in environments that are designed to distract them. You try to focus in spaces built for interruption. You try to eat better while surrounding yourself with constant temptation. You try to build confidence without creating any routines that actually support it. Then you blame yourself for being inconsistent, when the real problem is that your systems are working against you. Structure means making the right action easier than the wrong one. It means placing friction in front of the habits you want to break and removing friction from the habits you want to build. It means setting your environment to quietly guide your behavior when your mind is tired, stressed, or overwhelmed. You do not need a perfect plan. You need a simple, repeatable one. One time for your most important work. One protected window for movement or learning. One small non-negotiable habit that signals to your brain that you are serious about changing. Progress compounds through repetition, not intensity. The most powerful part of structure is that it turns identity into behavior. You stop saying you are trying to become disciplined and start living in a way that proves it. You stop waiting for confidence and start building evidence for it. You stop hoping for consistency and start practicing it. Your future self is not built on your best days. It is built on the days you do not feel like showing up, but still follow the structure you designed when you were clear. When life gets messy, structure becomes your anchor. It holds you steady long enough for momentum to return. In 2026, stop asking yourself how to feel more motivated. Ask yourself how to make progress inevitable. When your systems are strong, your emotions no longer get to decide whether you move forward. You cannot build a new life with the same standards. Most people try to change their outcomes without changing what they accept. They set new goals, write new plans, and make new promises, but they keep the same boundaries, the same expectations, and the same rules for how they treat their own time, energy, and potential. Then they wonder why everything feels harder than it should. Your standards are the invisible rules that run your life. They decide how late you allow yourself to start, how easily you cancel on your own goals, how much disrespect you tolerate, how often you let distractions steal your best hours, how quickly you lower the bar when things become uncomfortable. A new future cannot grow inside old permission slips. If you still accept being inconsistent, your goals will stay fragile. If you still accept being constantly available to everyone else, your focus will stay broken. If you still accept talking yourself out of effort, your confidence will stay shallow. Your standards quietly shape your results long before your talent ever gets a chance to matter. Raising your standards is not about becoming harsh or unrealistic. It is about becoming honest. Honest about what your time is worth. Honest about what drains you. Honest about what you are no longer willing to normalize just because it is familiar. A higher standard might look simple from the outside. Not checking your phone during your first hour of the day. Not skipping the one habit that keeps you grounded. Not entertaining conversations that pull you back into the version of you that you are trying to outgrow. Not staying silent when something consistently crosses your boundaries. The hardest part is that raising your standards will initially make you uncomfortable and sometimes unpopular. You will disappoint people who benefited from your flexibility. You will feel selfish for protecting your energy. You will feel guilty for choosing your long-term future over short-term approval. But here is the truth most people avoid. Every level of life has a cost. You are already paying for the standards you keep. You pay with exhaustion. You pay with frustration. You pay with regret. You pay with the quiet feeling that you are capable of more than you are currently living. New standards simply change what you pay for. In 2026, stop asking whether you can reach your goals. Start asking what you are willing to stop tolerating. The life you want is not blocked by your ability. It is blocked by what you continue to allow. Small decisions are silently creating your next identity. Most people think change is loud. A big moment. A dramatic turning point. A powerful realization that suddenly fixes everything. But real transformation is quiet. It hides inside the smallest choices you barely notice yourself making. Your life is being shaped in the in-between moments. The few minutes after you wake up. The way you respond when you feel tired. The choice you make when no one is checking. The decision to scroll or to start. To avoid or to face. To stay comfortable or to stay committed. You do not become a new person through one bold action. You become a new person through repeated small agreements with yourself. Every time you keep a promise you made in private, you reinforce trust with yourself. Every time you break one, you teach your brain that your words are negotiable. Over time, that silent feedback loop becomes your identity. You start to see yourself as someone who follows through or someone who always restarts. Your brain is constantly collecting evidence about who you are. It is not listening to your intentions. It is watching your behavior. It builds your self-image from patterns, not from motivation. That is why small decisions matter more than big declarations. Big declarations feel powerful for a moment. Small decisions quietly rewire how you see yourself. When you choose to do the hard thing for 5 minutes instead of waiting for perfect conditions, you are training consistency. When you choose to stop at enough instead of chasing distraction, you are training self-control. When you choose to speak honestly instead of staying silent, you are training self-respect. When you choose to move your body, even briefly, you are training energy. When you choose to learn instead of numbing, you are training growth. None of these moments feel heroic. They feel ordinary. But identity is built out of ordinary actions repeated until they become automatic. The most dangerous mistake is believing that today does not matter. That this one choice is too small to count. That you will take things seriously tomorrow. Tomorrow is built from the habits you practice today. You are voting for the person you are becoming with every small decision you make. You cannot separate who you want to be from what you do when no one is watching. In 2026, stop waiting for a version of you who magically feels different. Become the version who chooses different.